the turn on captions. Now, as you said, if you have the Excel spreadsheet on, the computer will throw it either in the lower left-hand corner or the upper right-hand corner. What did it do to yours?
Lower left.
Lower left, and you just click on it. That's still within the confines of the test. If you were to click outside the test, the computer would shut it down. It would just shut it down and you would not get back in. Okay? So that's why I tell you to keep it maximized. If you keep it maximized, it's easier to understand what's staying into the context of the test is. Okay? And I looked over and about 8 of y'all have taken the test. So everybody's taken the test and everybody's still working on homework. Some of y'all are on chapter 2 and I don't understand that, but that's your decision. It's your choice. So good luck with that. We're going to start chapter 4. Go ahead and mark out. Well, let me pull it up because I can't remember from yesterday's class. Let me pull up the Teams page. Give me a second. And go to your outline, those 2 people that printed it out like I told you to. Of course, this is not my handout, so I do stress that often. I had to use it because they didn't have the 120 handout ready, syllabus ready. So she gave us this, and it's not mine. Down here, I want you to mark out 5.4 and 5.7. Of course, I can't mark it out. I can't do anything with it, but 5.4 and 5.7. Please mark out 5.4 and 5.7. Notice I have said it 3 times now. The end of the week, next week, somebody's going to ask us, why is it 5.4 and 5.7 on the homework? Wait and see. And the reason I say that is because some of y'all are already doing that now. Some of y'all are telling me stuff that is just full, blown out BS. Okay? But I ain't gonna say anything. I'm gonna keep my composure. I'm gonna be all right. But anyway, I'm saying it one more time. 5.4 and 5.7 do not do. Now, I will take it out of the homework sometime today or through the weekend. I'll take it out. But you do not need to work on 5.4 and 5.7. I think that's 6 times I've said that. Question. Now, we are going to start today on 4.1 and 4.2. I should be able to get through most of it. It's not that big of a deal because most of you know how to do slope and the equation of a line, because you've had algebra before. And the other stuff is using the calculator or the spreadsheet, 4.1 and 4.2. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go to that. And well, I'm just going to write it on the whiteboard because I do better writing on the whiteboard. So let me go to the whiteboard and hopefully it will work. 4.1 and 4.2 are based on 3 things. And those 3 things are scatter plot, whether you can do it on the spreadsheet or the calculator, correlation and causality, correlation is a number between, anybody know, -1 and 1. It goes along with the slope. If the slope is negative, the correlation is negative. If the slope is positive, the correlation is positive. That is a test question that somebody will miss. Okay? Causality is usually based on what? Common sense. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. I always spell sense wrong, so if I spelled it wrong, I'm sorry. 3, I always want to spell it with a C. Is that right? S-E-N-C-E. I thought so. There. That looks awful. And 3rd, slope and equation. And that's the part you should already know because you've had algebra classes. Now that's 4.1 and 4.2. Now I'm going to go over everything that you need to know for the test with 4.1 and 4.2. Okay? And I'm going to hit through the book because it's a whole lot easier to do it through the book. And there's a scatter diagram. I'm not going to tell you what a scatter diagram is because it's a bunch of plotted points. And they'll show you on the next page. There's a scatter diagram or a scatter plot. Okay? With a scatter plot, you do not connect the dots. You draw a line of regression. A line of regression or line of perfect fit. And that's what we're going to be doing with technology. We're not going to do it with the calculator. I mean, by hand, because it's a pain. Make sure you know these type of, you've got a linear, which is a strong correlation on the left. The second one is a strong negative correlation. You don't have to learn nonlinear and nonlinear, because I'm not going to give you any of those on the test, and then the third one is a horizontal line, which means what? No relation. Now that feeds into the number between -1 and +1. The closer you are to -1 and +1, the stronger the correlation. Everybody with me? If you've got 0.05 correlation, then that's almost no correlation because it's close to 0 because the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Capiche? +1, -1, 0. And that's what they're telling you right here. Positive correlation means a positive pattern, left to right up. A negative correlation means a negative pattern. Correlation means, is there a pattern? Is there a pattern with the dots? Left to right up, left to right down. That's how you do it by hand, and we are not going to do that because that is some of the most tedious work right here and a lot of teachers don't even do it. I don't. So hopefully some of the questions will not have to do with that. If they do, we will just adjust your homework score accordingly. Hopefully I can get them out of there before y'all start the homework because I don't want to fool with them. Again, here we go. There's a positive correlation, a positive correlation, a moderate positive correlation, a negative correlation, a negative correlation, a somewhat negative correlation, and horizontal. That's basically. Now, how do you know? Well, the computers are going to tell you, the calculator is going to tell you, as well as the best thing to use is the Excel spreadsheet because it tells you everything. Okay? And there's a nonlinear. Nonlinear means it's not a straight line. Now, this is on page 174. So if you just want to mark that page 174, you need to know those because There's 2 or 3 test questions. With those first 4 that I showed you, or first 3, and these, you're talking maybe 2 or 3 test questions that somebody will miss. Next. There is a positive correlation. They're trying to show you how to see a pattern. I'm sorry, but I think you should be able to see a pattern from left to right. Now, there are some that it's hard to see a pattern, and that's why I use technology, but that's a left to right pattern right there. There's a left to right down, so that would be a negative correlation. And there's how you do it by hand. Knock yourself out. We're not doing that. Now, if you want to, we can modify the class and we can do that if you want to. But I did enough of, I hope you appreciate the calculator in chapter 3 to where I hope you appreciate the calculator. And let's go through, okay, there's the scale for correlation. If you have less than 0 as a correlation coefficient, which is R, you have a negative correlation. If you have from 0 to 1, you have a positive correlation. Same thing with slope. Negative slope, positive slope. There is a question on the test that says, what is the relationship between correlation and slope? And 30 people in this class, 3 to 4 people will get that wrong, even though I've said it like 3 times now. Negative slope, negative correlation. Positive slope, positive correlation. If the slope is negative, the correlation is going to be negative. If the correlation is positive, the slope is going to be positive. And we need to get some numbers so I can show you how to use it, but I don't want to get to a short one. I'm not going to get to a long one. And it's really easy to do, and that's page 179 starts to show you right there. TI-84, there you go. And I'm going to show you on the Excel spreadsheet and the TI-84. And there's Excel right there. Okay, so let's do one. Let me find one in the homework. One that has some numbers. I wanted to use, there we go. We can do that one right there. All right, so I'm going to blow this up. And I want you to write down those numbers right there and punch them in the calculator. Go ahead and do that. Punch them in your calculator. Now with the calculator, it's more step by step. There's 2 or 3 steps in the calculator, whereas the Excel spreadsheet is real simple. Real simple. And it gives you everything at one time. So I'm going to move this down a little bit over. And I don't have my TI pulled up, and I don't have my application because we don't have stuff like that here at Tri-County, so I have to use this old stuff. Go to Stat, Edit, and 5, 15, 25, 35, 50, 72, 105. Now, one of the reasons I do this and I record these is so people that send me emails and tell me they don't know how to use the calculator, I will reply to them, but I'll send them the video that I go over so they can watch it and rewind it and rewind it and rewind it. I don't know why they can't do that on their own, but I do it. 69.2, 68.3, 67.5, 67.1, 66.4, 66.1, and 63.9. And this is a test question. This is exactly, I would like to give you small numbers, because if you can do small numbers, you can do big numbers. Doing big numbers just takes up time. And on a test, I don't think you need to be taking up a lot of time. So that's why I give you small numbers. So take our handy dandy calculator and hit stat and hit calculate and hit linear regression. And it gives you L1 and L2, and then you hit calculate. And there is your y is equal to mx plus b. Now, you don't see the correlation coefficient, so I'm going to show you how to turn that on with your calculator. Go to second catalog. Go down to the D's. And you're looking for diagnostic on and diagnostic off. Now, once you do this, you don't have to do it again. You want to click on diagnostic on. Hit it, enter again. And now you shouldn't have to do it again after this. Now go back to stat, calculate, linear regression, and calculate. And now it should give you the correlation coefficient, which is 0.0908. So do we have a correlation? Not much. We've got a barely positive, not even a tenth, but it's a correlation. It's a very weak positive correlation. And y is equal to 0.0291x plus 61.37. That's your equation. So I need somebody to write that down, please, because I'm not going to memorize it. So y is equal to 0.0291x plus 61.37. Has somebody got that written down? Somebody? Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to do the scatter plot for you. Hit second, y is equal. Click on enter. In other words, you want to go into number one. It's already at number one. Hit enter. Hit enter to turn the scatter plot on. And it already defaults to a scatter plot. See there, unless somebody's been messing with your calculator, it's already on scatter plot, and it's already reading L1 and L2. So all you hit is graph. You may not see it. So you hit zoom, stat, which should be number 9 or number 8. Number 9. And there is your, and if it wasn't for this dot right here, it would be a negative correlation. But since that dot's down here, it's a positive correlation. So now you put y is equal, and what's the point what? What was the line? 291x plus what? There you go. Thank you. And graph. And there's your correlation. So the question on the test will say, what does the graph look like? And there's the graph right there. It'll ask you, what is the equation of the line of regression? That's y is equal to 0.021 plus 61 point blah, blah, blah. That's it. That's all I'm going to ask you for 4.1 and 4.2 as far as the graph. Now let's do it on the Excel spreadsheet. So pull up the Excel spreadsheet. And since, well, I'm gonna pull it over here so I can see the numbers and type them in, and then I'll put it back. Let me move this over. There we go. And I'm gonna type these in right quick. 5, 15, 25, 35, 50, 72, 105, and then I'm gonna go over to B, 69.2, 68.3, 67.5, 67.1, 66.4, 66.1, and 63.9. And pull this back over for the people at home and y'all. So there is my Excel. So let me get rid of this. Make it a little bit bigger for you so you can see the numbers. I'm going to tell you something. Looking at 23-degree angle or 25-degree angle like this, you can't see much of the board. All right, so now what I do, I highlight the X and Y's. Everybody with me? I go to Insert. And right here, you see a scatter plot. It's right above the chart. Right there, see it? Just click on that arrow, and there is. Okay. There is your scatter plot. Click on the scatter plot, and there you go. Well, how do you get all the other goodies? Well, that's the good part about Excel. It does everything for you. So right-click on one of the dots. Add trend line. Make sure it's on linear, which most of them will do because most of ours are linear, and the computer will read that and they'll see it. There's not any that could be both linear and nonlinear, polynomial, logarithmic. We're not going to be doing any of those. So most of them will read the line correctly, and then go down, or scroll down and hit display and display. And there is your information. Now, it does not give you R, so you have to raise R squared to the 0.5 power. So somebody take 0.09604 and raise that. Is that the same numbers we got? Yes or no? I'll just pull up the calculator because nobody's going to say anything. So stat. Appreciate y'all's interaction. Calculate. Linear regression. All y'all had to do was just tell me, but that's okay. I'll look it up. I know that's a lot of work to talk. 029. Now the Excel spreadsheet, I must have a number typed in wrong or something because that is too high. Yeah, I've got one number typed in wrong because it's not down here. So let's find what number we got typed in wrong. There it is. Is that no? Okay, so the one on the calculator is wrong. Great. So appreciate y'all pointing that out while I was putting it in the calculator. Thank you very much. Let me go back to stat. I can't see. Edit. Which one is typed in wrong? Thank you. It's supposed to be 67.5. Well, that's going to change just about everything. So let me go back. Stat, calculate,
You have a work
Go down
email.
to linear regression and just erase everything that we did before. 0.0479 negative, 0.0479 negative, and 69.03. And there's our squared, 0.9614. And there is the 0.9805. So we have a very strong what correlation? Negative correlation. Sorry about that. Go to stat plot. I knew that one looked awful funny, but oh well. On and go down to graph. There, that looks a whole lot better. Now I'm going to type in y is equal to negative 0.0479x plus 69.03. Now graph it. That looks a whole lot better, and this doesn't, why is it coming up? Did I not type it in right?
You type 6.03.
I think I just need to quit. 69.03. Typing with a mouse is very aggravating. And graph. There we go. Take your pick, which one you want. Now I just showed you both, so you should go to this video and you should do rewind, rewind, rewind until you can do it on your calculator or your Excel spreadsheet. Not email me and say, you didn't show us how to do it. Yep, somebody actually told me I did not show them how to use a calculator in the class. Not this class, another class. I ain't kidding you. Sometimes the 10%, it's not 90%, it's the 10% that ruin it, not only for students, they ruin it for teachers too, because they make teachers, it really does just infuriate teachers. All right, does anybody have a question on this, on technology? So this is half of 4.1 and 4.2 right here. Just, now they spread it out. They could teach 4.1 and 4.2 in one section, but they spread it out because they give you the you know, how to calculate the slope and y-intercept. So let's do that. Let's take our, let me look at this. Where's two good points? The two closest points is that point right there. That's the fourth point, the fifth point, and the second point. So write down 15, write down 15 and 68. And we're not going to do the decimals, I'm sorry. Write down 15 and 68. And the fifth point is 50 and 66. Write those two down. 15 and 68 and 50 and 66. Everybody got that? Because I'm going to ask you that in just a second because I'm going to write it on the whiteboard. 15 and 68 and 50 and 66. Actually, I could just do this, get rid of this. All right, now I want you, delete. I want you to find the equation and the slope of those two lines, so those two numbers. 15 and 68 and 50 and 66. In fact, I'm going to put it, I'm not going to put it like that. 50 and 66. All right, do it. Use your algebra skills that you learned back in pre-algebra, algebra 1 and algebra 2, and find the slope and the equation with those 2 points. Now you know we read from left to right. So this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1, this is x sub 2, this is y sub 2. Slope is equal to delta y over delta x, which is the change in y over the change in x, which is parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. If you walk up to me 20 years from now and ask me to find the slope of a line, and I've got at least 3 or 4 degrees, I would use these parentheses. But some of y'all are beyond that. Y'all don't need parentheses because y'all are so smart, okay? I throw a negative in there or I throw a fraction in there, your smarts go down to 0 because y'all get it wrong. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I think I would use the parentheses, but some of y'all won't. 66, 68, 50, and 15. If you haven't noticed, that email really pissed me off. I don't know if you noticed that or not. 66 minus 68 is what? Negative 2. 50 minus 15 is what? 35? And I guarantee you, if you put that in a decimal, it'll be close to the decimal that it found, but it used all these. We just use them 2. Oh, there's your fraction, so half of y'all will probably get the rest of this wrong. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. That is the equation, the intercept equation. So y minus parentheses is equal to parentheses times x minus parentheses. And yes, 20 years from now, if you walk up to me and ask me to find an equation of a line, I'm going to use those parentheses. Now, which point am I going to pick, do you think? Anybody want to know which one I'm going to pick? Well, I did, but not always. But yes, this one right here, smaller numbers. 15 is smaller than 50, so I'm going to keep it simple. 68, this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1. 68, negative 2 over 35, and 15. Now I'm going to erase some of this so I can do the problem. I'm going to erase this right here. So that's going to give me y minus 68 is equal to negative 2/35 x minus, be a plus, 30 over 35. And now I'm going to bring 68 over 35, which is going to be a nasty. Somebody multiply 68 by 35 for me, please.
1.9429.
1 point.
2,380.
2,300 and what? 380 divided by 35. And y is equal to negative 2/35 x. And that's going to be what? 2410 plus 2410 over 35. And if you got decimals, that means you can't do fractions. So you relied on the calculator, which is sad. Okay? Now I said that with my back to y'all, so I have no idea who used a calculator. So I'm not making fun of you if you did, I'm just stating fact. If you can't do that, then I'm sorry. You didn't get your money's worth in K through 12, which is very, very plausible. Question. Now, if you want to turn 2 over 35 into a fraction, a decimal to see how close it is to the other, you can do that. And 24 over 10, I would assume that's around 60. Somebody do that for me. What's 2410 divided by 35? It's around 60, 61? 68. Now, why is it off? Because we only used 2 points, where the calculator and computer used all 5 points. And used all that tedious math that we're not going to do. That you will appreciate your calculator. See, I want you to use your calculator for what it's used for. Doing fractions is not what it's used for. Doing fractions is what you make it used for, because you or your teacher was too lazy to learn how to do fractions back in the 4th and 5th grade. And that's what I tell my son, and he gets mad, but it's the truth. Okay? Next, that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop there, because I'm going to let y'all go early. Because y'all had a rough week. Y'all had homework and tests, and y'all been good. Well, except for some of y'all on Monday, which I apologize for that, because that was my fault. Don't take too much Benadryl. That's basically it. I got to take the roll, so if I don't take the roll, y'all get a nasty email. Y'all been getting nasty emails from Tri-County saying that y'all are losers. Well, that's why I try to do the roll, so I'm going to shut down the recorder, and I'll take the roll, and y'all can leave quietly after I call the roll. Let me shut down the recorder. And those of you at home, I need